It was incredible. The French had their soccer horns out, and the Belgians had an air raid siren, air horns, you name it. It was just like a soccer match. It was pretty incredible. Electric. That's probably the best way I can sum it up. It was pretty incredible.
This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day butchers, and welcome to episode 47 of the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Doug Piper. Look, before we get into today's episode, I'd personally like to thank everyone who's either been a guest or listened to the podcast along the way, and I hope you found some of the content useful and interesting. And don't forget to click the follow button so you don't miss any further episodes. My guest today is fresh off the plane from a short holiday touring through Europe after competing in the World Butcher Challenge in Paris. He's the Australian Butcher team's display and garnishing champion, Tommy Bouchier. G'day, Tom.
G'day, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Mate, welcome home.
Thank you. Much appreciated. It's a long journey back and just settling back into work now. So it's almost like it never happened, but at least we've got a bit of silverware on the counter there to remind me, that's for sure.
Yes, mate. I enjoyed watching every minute that I could that they televised on YouTube, from the championship, or from the apprentices to the young butchers and then the senior team. You know, I had a bad case of FOMO. I really wished I was there. You know, it looked so good, and you guys did such a great job, and congratulations for bringing home third place, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, much appreciated. It was another amazing experience, that's for sure, and another great event from the WBC.
Yes, yeah, then they just hopefully get better and better and better.
That's it.
And the only way it can get better for us is if we get first place.
That's right. It's getting harder and harder to win, that's for sure, Doug. We've had plenty of seconds and thirds over the years, but yeah, that elusive gold's chasing us. We're chasing it a bit.
How many challenges have you been involved in, mate?
Paris was my sixth.
You're six. Wow. So you're the old hand at it now, I think.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, so I came in as the apprentice back in the day when we're over in Yorkshire with yourself, and there's more seasoned campaigner nowadays, I suppose.
You know, it's been a great journey for you. So tell us a little bit about it, mate. What was the lead up to Paris this year? What was that like? A couple of years in the training, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, it started off, just straight after Sacramento. The team held tryouts, and so it was quite clever how they did it. You know, Australia being such a big country and hard to, hold one weekend where you fly everyone in and everyone sort of do their challenges. It was all done online, so it just made it a lot easier for people to do it in their own time, after work, lunchtime, whenever. And we were given a series of challenges. We had a lamb challenge, a pork challenge, a beef challenge, chicken, and we had to, submit as many different products, all using the same cuts of, beef, lamb, that sort of thing. And then that way the guys judging it could sort of see how everyone works, see what they can innovate and come up with. And we also filmed everything we were doing as well, so they could sort of see how you worked and watched your practices and, how clean and tidy you worked as well. So that started off, took a few months to sort of work through those. And then we probably had about 2.5 years once the team was selected. And then from there, it was, all systems go. It was, working out a theme, working out products, practices, all those sorts of things. 2.5 years goes very, very quick, that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember the judging side of it and looking at some of the work that everyone had done. And there was some really quality stuff out there. Like, there's some quality butchers out there, mate, aren't there? There's some really talented people, not just butchers, but some of the apprentices too, what they're producing. There were some brilliant entries there, but unfortunately, there's only, 6 spots in the team, and in the senior team anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's so keen to get involved these days, which is great. And it's open to so many people. And I think the way the guys did it with holding it all online, it just, as I say, it made it so easy for so many people to throw their name in the hat, so to speak, and get involved. I think doing it online as well, it takes a lot of commitment to be in the team. There's a lot of weekends away from your business, your loved ones, a lot of meetings, a lot of video calls, all those sorts of things. So by doing a series of challenges, you can sort of weed out who was the most committed, and, a few people dropped off after the first few, but that's understandable, and it happens, especially with everyone running and working in businesses and stuff. So it was good. It was a way that we could sort of have a real solid bunch of guys who were sort of ready to put the time aside and represent the country.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky to get the team together again. The caliber of the team together, the quality of the work everyone did doesn't necessarily reflect in the ranking or the positions that they came throughout the competition, because there was some bloody good competition out there, taking everything from Australia to Paris to work with and putting it together over there, suffering from, obviously jet lag, time away in a foreign place, the language barrier, everything. I think what was done was just 150% perfect, I think everyone did a great job.
Yeah, you're right. It was, it's something I probably didn't give too many thoughts about in the lead up. It was just down to like your ingredients shopping and stuff like that for the competition. You get so used to being able to walk into a greengrocer or, one of the supermarkets over here and grab the exact product you want in the right size, having everything going for you. Then all of a sudden you're in a non-English speaking country running around trying to find a certain ingredient, the right size, the right texture, that sort of thing. It was just an extra element to the competition, I suppose, an extra degree of difficulty. But yeah, from what the guys all put up, and as you say, the apprentices and young butchers, like it was sort of mind-blowing, really. I mean, if I wasn't nervous before that, it was after seeing what the apprentices and young butchers did the day before us in the competition. And gee whiz, yeah, there's some guys from all around the world really knocking on the door of that senior team, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The ingredients thing gets me because sometimes, you go into a shop looking for something in particular and you can visually see what it is in the jar, but it's got some sort of different writing on it, like it might be in French. And so you've got to sort of make that guess. Is that what I'm looking for? So that's also a big barrier, eh?
And a lot of improvising and that sort of thing. A funny one is even just the layouts of the supermarkets. Like I was over there trying to find breadcrumbs and it could not be found anywhere. And then they ended up in the health food aisle with grains and the chia seeds and all that sort of stuff. So
okay,
I spent a good 45 minutes wandering around the French supermarket trying to find those.
What was the theme that you guys had?
So we built a bar, like an inner city sort of cocktail whiskey bar. And yeah, I mean, it sort of started off as a bit of a joke between Luke and I. Over in Sacramento, we were sitting in the car and we're driving around collecting plates and stuff. And funny one, like the original theme was going to be a bar called Smoke and Mirrors, because we'd sort of joking about, in butchering and in these competitions, a lot of it's all just a bit of smoke and mirrors, having a bit of a laugh. And just a few of the guys from the team went over to New Zealand to do the like a Butcher Wars team sort of one. And they bloody used the theme Smoke and Mirrors on us. But that was fine. We pivoted, as they say, and we came up with a bar called the Butcher's Barrel.
Okay.
And so all of our products were related back to our theme. So a lot of our products used an alcohol, or they had, cocktail garnishes, or we presented them in a cocktail glass, a martini glass, those sorts of things. And then we really hammered home, on our tickets, all the paired beverages and those sorts of things as well. We also had wine lists with each product. So we sort of had each product set up like a menu with all our cooking instructions, everything like that. And then, sort of set up like a wine list like you would find on the counter at at a bit of a speakeasy sort of setup.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. So that's a great description of the whole bar. And you even had chairs, like bar stools in front of it too.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about, I find, just those little finishing touches. Like I think to most people in the arena who were sort of walking around, they'd probably worked out that these guys are building a bar. But I think just those little touches, like you say, the seats out the front, the bar stools, and then we set up the wine lists on those. We had 6 of those, one for each judge. And then, we had coasters and all those. Just, they might only seem a small thing, but it just helps build the whole aura of the display, I find, so much. Just those extra little 1%ers.
The days leading up to the event, how did you feel? How was that going down? I know, like you're a veteran at it. You've done it 6 times, a very young veteran.
I'll take that. Yeah.
I've got to say something nice about you, mate. How are you feeling compared to previous comps?
It was a bit of a funny one coming into this competition. With Sacramento, it was a brand new team. We came in with 6 months notice, basically. And to be fair, we were just happy to be involved and happy to be there. We weren't expecting too much. And then obviously Sacramento, we came second and did such a great job. So I sort of always felt, a lot more pressure to perform this time round. We'd finally had a full run at getting prepared and products and training and stuff like that. So it would sort of come and go, I suppose, in that sort of sense. Like one minute you'd just feel, I guess, anxiety, but a lot of pressure. And then the excitement and, the adrenaline and stuff. And then, in that week leading up to it, it was sort of a little bit tricky in the end to try to harbour it a bit. Anytime I'd go back to look at my notes and my pictures of the display, trying to memorize, my heart would just start racing almost. So I'd sort of get a little bit too revved up. I'd sort of have to put it away for a bit. But I had a few good words with our captain, Luke Mason, who's sort of, Luke's a very sort of calming person at times, I suppose. At times, I'll say that. Yeah, Luke he puts things into perspective really well. And, I had a really good chat with him one day and he sort of said, look, mate, you've done a few of these. The nerves are normal. It's just like fine wine. Just keep on going and, keeps on getting better, I suppose. But like I say, it was nerve-wracking, exciting, and it's just a whole roller coaster of emotions, really.
Yeah, I think we're our own worst enemies under pressure sometimes because you start to doubt, you start to think too much. And when it comes to it, it just comes to it. It just flows.
Well, that's right. And Luke sort of said to me, he's like I was sort of telling him how I was feeling, just feeling a bit of pressure and the normal nerves and stuff. And, Luke sort of said, he's like, mate, you do this every day. It's just cutting meat, really, at the end of the day, which you've done forever. It's just a bit of a higher level and in front of a few more people than what you might get in the shop on a Tuesday afternoon. That helped a lot. And from there on, the sort of nerves were gone and I was just ready to get into it from there.
So how many teams were actually in the competition, in the senior team?
16 teams.
Wow. That's about 4 up on last time, was it?
Yeah, thereabouts. So we had a few newcomers. There was Spain, Romania, and Belgium. Pretty unbelievable to see what, those first-time countries came out with. Normally it takes the countries a few years to sort of at least see the event and then see what the displays are and work out how to do it. But these blokes, they hit the ground running. They were, pretty incredible.
With all the teams, so we fielded, 6, 7, 11 people. We had Gary as a sub, just in case. With the apprentices and the young butchers in the senior team, we had 11. Has everybody got the same amount in each team, or is it sort of open to how many competitors?
France had quite a few competitors. I think, you'd have to fact check me, but I think the host nation is allowed to enter a couple more apprentices and young butchers. But then, there was an apprentice or a young butcher from Czech Republic, Indonesia, representing themselves and their whole nation, which is, pretty incredible.
Wow.
We do a great job. Obviously, we've got a full team around us propping each other up and supporting one another. And then, you've got these young butchers and apprentices coming over and really got the weight of their whole industry in their nation on the shoulders. It's, pretty incredible to see.
Yeah. Oh, what a commitment that is. So what is your role in the team?
So my role, it's officially displayer and garnisher. So when the competition starts, they count down from 10. I'm straight onto the display. So I start, you're not allowed to have anything on your tables to begin with. Everything's got to be empty and all your props and everything has to be within your competing area. So ready, set, go. The guys start on the meat and cutting, and then I just start building the display up. I put it all together, start getting our props ready. We had a lot of cocktail shakers and things like that. So I was filling those up, filling up our decanters with wine, getting everything sort of ready to go. And then I always come into competitions. I'll always have photos of the display before any products go onto it. I break that into sort of 4 or 5 pictures to run along the display. And it's just there as a bit of a guide and a bit of a help so I can line everything up perfectly as it should be. And then once it's all set up, then I take those pictures away and then I've just got pictures of the full finished display as well, just as a guide. So if something was to go wrong and I needed someone else to run some product out for me when it was ready, then, they could run up and find it straight away, pop it straight out. Or, if the nerves get to you and you do sort of forget, where am I putting those lamb cutlets, then, you can refer back to your maps. So once I get all those ready, it's generally this year, I sort of had it set to about the 10-minute mark. I got out early, which was great. I sort of got it all done in about 5 to 7, and then I hit the production bench. I get there and Gareth had all my chicken ready to go, which was great. So I just jump in, start making a few of my own products, getting those ready. The guys throughout the competition, they'll be finishing their products and they'll be passing them over to me. I'll display them. I'll plate them up nicely on the plate, get them all ready, and then run them out to the display with their ticket and any sort of other props that go along with it, and sort of just make sure it's all nice and straight and where it should be on the display.
I know it's probably a bit of a long bow to draw here, but did you have a system there where you knew which product was going to be coming next, so you were able to actually organise all your garnishing and all your platters to suit those products coming out?
Yeah, pretty well. So having done a few of these now, we've got it down to a bit of a system. So how we like to set it up is each of the guys on the team have a tub or a basket or something with all the ingredients and everything they need for that product in there. And they might also have the ticket and the plate as well, or they've got the plate stacked up behind them. So you can sort of familiarize yourself. I knew that as soon as I started, I had about 3 or 4 chicken products to make. And then in the next sort of 5 minutes, I had Troy's chicken products come over. I had a couple of Brett's. The way we'd set up the display as well is that we would have few of those early products come out and we might display them, a couple at the front, a couple at the back, just to start evening up the display. So we're not sort of starting from one side and finishing at the other. We really tried to make sure that the display, it looked great from, start to finish, and people sort of understood the theme and what was going on, whether they walked past, 15, 20 minutes into the competition or they walked through right at the very end. They sort of had a bit of an idea. So yeah, there's a bit of strategy and stuff that goes into when the products are coming out and where they go. But with all the training and stuff we'd done, I sort of made sure that I had all my garnishes lined up, ready to go. I normally spend a couple of minutes just at the start, just sort of with a speed peeler, just taking the rinds off lemons and oranges and stacking them up in front of me. As I say, sort of doing a few of these now, it's sort of start going on a bit like a well-oiled machine, I suppose, Dad. But practice makes perfect, as they say, and we were lucky enough to get quite a few in this year.
What meat did you have to work with and how much, and how many products did you make out of all that meat?
So we had a side of beef, we had a whole lamb, we had a side of pork and 6 chickens. And I think in the end we had about 110 products.
Oh, moly.
But we also, you sort of come prepared. So we had like a few extra tickets and a few extra products in mind in case, the lamb shoulders might come off a bit shorter or, something doesn't quite work out. You've always got a few backups ready to go. And then, the size of the beef and the lamb stuff over there, it's absolutely massive.
I was going to ask you that.
It was huge. And we'd trained with, big beef as big as we could find, and still it was massive. So it was handy having a few of those backup spare tickets and plates ready because, some products came out and they were bigger than the tray that we had, earmarked for it. So we were able to sort of think on our feet and produce a couple of products just off the cuff that we'd already had a pretty generic ticket made up for and everything like that. So we were still within the rules and still had our specs and tickets for all the products on display.
How'd you go with all the trim?
Yeah, great. We didn't have a single bit of trim left over.
Really?
So we had, Craig Munro, Gareth, and I think Luke at the end making a hell of a lot of snags, beef and lamb and burgers. And we did great out of the utilisation. We had some of the cleanest bones I've seen. Craig did a great job boning those. I was watching the judges. They come through at the end and they upend your satin bone bins onto the bench and start going through it like a few managers I've had in the past. Won't mention any names though, Doug. But yeah, checking on how much meat's left in there, and I can tell you it's probably one of the best I've ever seen for our utilisation. I'd be really interested to see what our actual mark was for it because there wasn't anything left, that's for sure.
Aren't they going to make those available for everybody, or?
Yeah, so I think they collate them over the next few weeks, get them all sort of scanned and copied and everything like that, and then they'll send them out for us to have a bit of a look at.
So with the team, who does what? I know obviously you're the garnisher, and I think everyone's seen Lawsy out there on the beef. So who else does what?
Yeah, sure. So we had Gareth look after the lamb this year. A tactic that we've come up with over the years that works really well. Instead of having just one person break and bone everything and just pass it off to people. I think it was Luke's idea, just getting one person to look after each type thing. We had Craig Munro doing all our breaking and boning of the beef. And then we had, Gareth looking after the lamb. Troy and Gareth did the chickens at the start. And then, Luke looked after the side of pork. He would break it and then pass it off to whoever needed.
Yeah, right, okay.
In the team, you've got to break a boner, a trimmer slicer, 3 value adders, and a displayer and garnisher. But everyone just hooks in the end and sort of takes a little bit off someone if need be. On the competition day, someone might get a bit flustered and it's not uncommon to hear, can someone give me a hand boning this out or rolling this or that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good team effort there, like making sure that everybody has their own protein to work with. A couple of them shared the chicken, obviously, but I think that's a good idea to keep it that way because it seems to streamline it. You're not moving from one protein to the other, so you're used to working with that size.
Yeah, that's right. And it means that, in your shops, we were lucky this year. We had quite a few practices, but it means that if you're doing lambs in your shop, say, you'd be able to practice them exactly how you'd be doing them on competition day and just familiarising yourself as well. Great idea. We might have to bleep that out though, Dougie. We don't want to give the other countries too many good ideas, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll just disregard all that. They still won't do it as good. Hey mate, on the day, what was the atmosphere like in the stadium? And in the past, it's been, I suppose, in the early days, was a little bit like crickets. You could hear them in the background. There wasn't much wasn't many people attending, but there seemed to be quite a few in Paris.
Yeah, it was amazing. The seats were all sold out, which we'd found out a couple of days prior. We'd heard that, the Germans had 300 people coming over the day before, and the Belgians had 300 people coming. And I mean, we know France, they always come well equipped with support stuff. So yeah, we sort of knew it was going to be loud, but yeah, let me tell you, it was very, very loud. It was incredible. The French had their soccer horns out, and the Belgians had an air raid siren. Air horns, you name it. It was just like a soccer match. It was pretty incredible. It did get a little bit tricky to hear at a few points in the during the competition. We're working on these benches quite close to each other too, mind you. And I looked at Craig a couple of times. I just said to him, mate, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me, because these blokes are playing their air horn right in my ear. But electric, that's probably the best way I can sum it up. It was pretty incredible. Backstage, we were getting ready to go out on stage, all lined up, and we were the second team to be called out. We had Belgium in front of us, and like I say, they had big teams supporting them, and it was probably a good thing hearing them go first and just hearing the noise backstage hit them. It was pretty incredible. But to our credit, we probably had 30 or 40 Aussies in the stand, and they were just as loud as anything. They didn't need any horns or any whistles or anything like that.
I could imagine.
Just that Aussie spirit. Yeah, our support team was great. And to hear everyone cheering and stuff like that for you, you do hear it all on top of the air horns and stuff somehow. But it's really, really special.
You obviously would have walked around the other teams' displays. What was a standout product? Did you see anything there that you went, wow?
Look, I'm pretty biased, but I think Troy's Beef Baron was extremely unlucky not to take out Best Beef Product. I tried to do a version of it in Sacramento that we put up for World's Best Beef. It was an idea I'd gotten from Troy, and then he sort of tweaked it and reinvented it again, and it was absolutely amazing. What he does is, got the whole T-bone, and it was quite big, obviously being such a huge body of beef, so he did it in two. He bones out the fillet and sort of wraps up. He might put some prosciutto and, like a duck cell or something like that around the fillet, and then wraps it in cool fat and then sort of stitches it back through the vertebrae. So, to look at, it looks like it's still in its whole form.
Intact,
but the fillet's been taken off, seasoned and stitched back on.
Wow.
And the idea being that if you're, when you cook a T-bone and stuff, the fillet always tends to dry out during the cooking process. And so you'd get a quite dry piece of fillet, and then you'd have a nice, tenderly juicy piece of sirloin. Well, the idea is that, it sort of protects it during the cooking process and keeps all the juices in. And I think Troy's a bit bloody stiff not to win Best Beef Product, but it was great. A few of the other products, the French, they did their usual thing, these incredible little, hors d'oeuvre type products and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely outstanding, the work and the craftsmanship that goes into them. But my favorite product, one that was definitely out there for myself, was our mates on the New Zealand table. They had a lamb rack with what was like a garlic butter or, a Cafe de Paris butter on top, and just wrapped really neat and tidily in some coal fat, and then just strung up perfectly. It was just simple product done really, really well. And it would have stood up on any display. But, you look at it and you think, oh, well, that's just a lamb rack with a bit of butter and some coal fat. But I'll tell you what, it would eat absolutely amazing. And the color of it was outstanding. So, it doesn't, a lot of the products, they don't always have to be over the top, innovative and, have all this crazy stuff going on. It can be just a nice, simple product done really well. So a lot of great things on the displays, that's for sure.
Yeah, I suppose that's one thing we got to think about, like how far can you actually push it? I know we've seen some incredible products over the years, and some couple very questionable ones, which our friends over the ditch did. And I think I mentioned it before when they made a thong using mince as the base and licorice.
Ah, yes. I remember that one quite well. Yeah.
So that one is a bit questionable how that licorice is going to bake up. But anyway, forgetting that, but how far can you push it? And like you said, they redeemed themselves then. They did something quite simple, but did it extremely well, and it had everything that you need: eye appeal, obviously cookability, and it's going to eat well.
That's it. I think what's really changed with the competition is just the tightening up of a few of the rules and a few of the judging criteria. So, at the end of the day, every product has to be cookable for a customer and sellable to a butcher in a retail shop or in a shop. So, I mean, you could make the most extravagant looking product, or you could make the best looking thong with licorice and mince. But if it's not cookable for a customer, then you're going to get it zeros. So yeah, that's one thing that's cut out a few of those novelty products and stuff, is that, yeah, they do all have to be cookable. And we're pretty stringent with all of ours in the team. Over the last couple of years, we've gone ahead and put the exact cooking instructions down on a few products. And, Luke, he might walk through after a competition or after a training day, and he might say, well, what's that? Is that going to cook evenly? Is it this and this? And then whoever's made the product, if they're certain that it will, then yeah, they'll go home, cook it, write it down exactly how they do it, and send through pictures. And if it stands up, then that's it. Or, I mean, we might just tweak it a little bit if, like, we've got some gun cooks in that team and around the team who might have an idea and say, oh, well, how about you roll it this way to keep a bit more of an even sort of size, and that'll help the cooking time and those sorts of things. So, I mean, it all gets thought about and all gets put into place.
That's a great idea, getting to make sure it's going to be 100%, going through. It's like checking your window after you've put it in the morning. You do a walk past, you walk through, make sure your tickets are straight, making sure everything's garnished properly. Same sort of scenario. And how's the customer going to cook that when they get home if it looks like that?
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, like I say, having the score sheets and the judges, marking and criteria available to us before the competition means that we can literally go through our displays and we sort of look at all those bits and pieces that the judges will be looking at, and we can say, right, well, we need to tighten up this, let's tighten up this. And I mean, the team is really good. Like, there's no egos. If something doesn't look great, and like, I'll put my hand up, I've had a couple of stinking products in our training runs that just didn't go to plan or something like that. The guys will point it out and say, what is that? No one takes it to heart. It is all just constructive criticism. No one starts bagging the product or bagging the butcher. They say, right, well, how can we fix this? And what went wrong? How can we fix it next time? And it's all very constructive in training sessions, which goes to show. I mean, our display in the end, I don't think there was a single product there that didn't end up exactly how we want it. And we know, because we had cooking instructions for every single product, as well as beverage pairing and stuff like that. Every product on there could be taken home and enjoyed by a customer.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the way it should be. That's what it's all about. Hey, so what happens with all the meat after the event's finished? Where does that go? Does that get all divvied up between the judges, or?
As much as I reckon they wish it did. No, it all gets donated and sent to sort of food shelters and goes to the less fortunate and stuff. One thing that they asked a week out of the competition, they asked that everyone had their allergens for each product on the tickets and stuff like that, so that when they were bagging it up, they could put their allergen stickers on there and those sorts of things. That caused a bit of a stir amongst a few of the other teams that hadn't thought about it. But us being the forward thinkers we are, Doug, we were well across it. We had, nutritional panels. We had spec sheets for every product. So we were ready to go. But it all gets donated and cooked up for the less fortunate, which is great. Nothing goes to waste.
That's excellent, mate. Well done on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because that would mean a lot of extra work.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And it was... a few very late nights for Luke collating all the information and those sorts of things. And I mean, the trickiest thing is some of our recipes, it might be, pinch of this or a teaspoon of that. Well, when you're entering things into nutritional panels and stuff like that, you've got to have it down to the actual gram. And that was a lot of work, but I think it paid off in the end. It was very, very cool to see. We had QR codes on every ticket that could take you to a directory.
Excellent.
Of all our products and stuff like that. So we had, people walking past at the end of the competition, or people even in the crowd, a couple of judges doing it as well, who would walk up, scan the QR code, take you directly to that product where it's going to have your cooking instructions, any allergen information. And also it had the information on how the product was made, how you got it from your whole primal down to that tiny little piece. And then, your beverage pairings and stuff like that too, and side dishes.
So you actually set up a website where you had all the products in there as well?
That's it. I'm not sure if it's still up or not, but it was just on the Australian Butcher Team website. And if you scan the QR code, it would take you off there. And the process in how the product was made by the butcher, it would have side suggestions, so whatever you would pair that with if you're cooking the dish, and then cooking instructions, and then our beverage pairing and stuff like that as well. So it really flowed on our sort of bar hospitality, sort of restauranty type theme that we had, which is, like I say, such a big thing. Everything on the display has to tie back into the theme, and that was something that was a lot of work, but it really helped us sell the dream and the theme, so to speak, I suppose.
Yeah, well done. So, Tommy, apart from coming third, was there any other achievements the team made?
Oh, it was a huge one for us, Doug, and something that we've all knew was coming for a little while was our man Brett Laws making it onto the All-Star team for evaluating and his products. I mean, Brett's products, it was pretty amazing to walk around the arena afterwards and seeing all the displays and stuff like that. And yeah, there was a bit of Lawsy on it, nearly every display. That was on the world team and the apprentices and stuff like that. Everyone's sort of taken that signature Brett Laws style and people are trying to replicate it, which is great, and a feather in his own cap. But yeah, for Brett to get recognised as one of the best on the day, like I said, we all knew it. But yeah, it was amazing for us, and it just got the team revved up and so excited for him. It really couldn't happen to a better bloke who's, I mean, I don't think I've ever met another butcher quite as passionate as Brett. It's infectious how into it he is and how much time and effort he spends to his products. It's credit to him because what he makes is absolutely amazing. So yeah, we're all very happy for Brett, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, congratulations, Brett. You've been on a winner for a while, mate. Doesn't matter what you put your mind to and your heart to, you know how to do it. You do it well. We had him on the podcast about a year or so ago, and you know, just his commitment to butchery, that's what it is, and helping it grow. And he's only too happy. You know, he's such a humble, nice guy. You know, he's...
Yeah, that's it. Lawsy will tell you anything. He's not one of those fellas who sort of holds on to his secrets and doesn't say anything. He'll be the first to tell you exactly how he makes something or what ingredients or how to do anything. And I mean, just chatting to his partner, Amanda, like the amount of dedication Brett has. He's got young kids, he's got the families, you know, helping running the shop, and he goes home and practices these products after work on weekends. Like the level of dedication the bloke has is something I've never seen before. I was pretty lucky to be carrying a few of his products out to the display, sort of claiming them as my own a couple of times there, Dougie, as you would with a few of those products that so spectacular. There wasn't a hell of a lot of garnishing that needed to go on the majority of Brett's. Sometimes he'd sort of say to me, he goes, "Oh, Tommy, just a bit of garnish on this one." I'd sort of look at it and say, "Oh, don't know about that, Lawsy. They're ready to go." But yeah, so it was great for Brett to be up on stage with the 6 best on the day. Like I say, something that we all knew was coming and we all knew was well deserved. And I think realistically, the rest of the world probably did too.
The competition's run, every 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah, every 3 years, that's right.
Any tip on where it's going to be next time around?
No, I haven't heard too much at all. I know while we were over there was a couple of the countries who were really keen to host it. Belgium were one, and Romania. They were really keen, they were telling us. But yeah, I mean, it would be really nice to have it back over sort of our side of the globe, that's for sure, because it is quite tricky sending everything over. I may have heard a whisper that Australia were a little bit keen on hosting, which would be great, like I say. But yeah, who knows?
Oh, well, hopefully. It would be great if it was here. All I know is there was on our socials, on the ABG socials, and all I saw on social media to do with butchery was all about you guys. And it was just so good to see so much support from so many butchers out there this time round that just got behind you guys. You know, it was amazing. It was incredible. And thanks to everybody that sent messages and supported you guys. You know, really, it made them feel like they were still at home. You know, I think, you know, you would have felt so much prouder having that behind you.
I haven't been involved in the team for so long as well. Like this time around especially, there was just so much support from butchers back home. Everyone was getting messages, you know, over socials and Facebook and text from butchers from all around Australia, just, you know, giving you a rev up beforehand. You know, we're thinking of you boys, we'll be watching it. And then, you know, even down to the butchers helping us raise money and selling our merchandise shirts. And I felt like every week there was a new shop that, you know, you'd see a picture of all their guys in the shop all decked out with the Australian Butcher Team shirts on, getting behind the guys, selling them to customers, telling customers about the story. It was like I'd never seen before, just so much support, and it was really amazing. And obviously a big thank you to all the butchers around Australia for getting behind us. It meant the world to everyone, that's for sure.
Yeah, well said, mate, well said. So what's next for you? What's next for Tommy Boucher? You keen to go again?
Oh, Doug, I tell you, I coming into this one, I'd sort of thought, this might be me, I think. I've done a few of these now, and it is a lot of work and a lot of time spent, you know, after work, making nutritional panels and coming up with ticket designs and buying props and stuff. And then your weekends spent training every few months and everything like that. But I don't know, I was up on stage when we came third, and sort of whispered to Luke, said, "Oh, mate, looks like we might be having a go again. We're not too sure, but I'm not sure, Doug. I'd love to do it as long as I can, and I'm very lucky in that working for a family business. Mum and dad are really supportive of the team. Dad's been to more of these competitions than I have. He's followed it from the start, and he is, as you know, he just lives and breathes retail butchery. So I got a lot of support there with through work and stuff. So I don't know. We'll have to let the dust settle a little bit. I'd go for as long as I can, to be fair. But I suppose that's up to the guys who pick the team.
No, that's true. No, well said. Well, mate, I'm going to let you toddle off and get back to work now. But really good to catch up with you. I hope we catch you over there at Richmond in a couple of weeks' time at the Ambassador event. And if any butchers are out there in Victoria around that area that want to pop along, contact us at the Butchers Guild at butchers@mla.com.au. Drop us a note to let us know you're coming. But Tommy, thank you very much, mate. Congratulations to the whole team, all the teams that ventured over to Paris. You did a fantastic job, and you did the butcher trade in Australia proud.
Thanks so much, Dougie. I appreciate the kind words, and thanks to all the butchers from around Australia for getting behind us and all the support. Like I say, it was truly something special for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Doug. Catch ya.
Alrighty, butchers, that's all for today. But don't forget, if you want to join up with the Australian Butchers Guild, you can go to our website, hit the join up page there. On the top of the banner there's join up page. Just hit that, fill out the details, and you're instantly a member, and it costs nothing. Catch you later.
This podcast is provided for information purposes only. The MLA Group strongly recommends that listeners exercise discretion and obtain professional advice before relying on any information in this podcast.